Well folks, welcome back to the workshop. A wee different one for you today. This is one I don't think I've done before. A wee Makita Cordless Sander in for repair. A wee half sheet sander. This one here is the DBO480. And like I say, I don't think I've ever done one of these before. It's actually only a 2024 machine, but there's no mention of warranty on it. Customer says it stopped working and it won't switch on anymore. Just wants to see if it can be fixed. We'll have a wee go at this one and see if we can fix it up. Now, it's not the most powerful sander in the world. These are a wee DC motor. It's not brushless motor inside. So I'm surprised I've never actually seen one of these up until now. I would have assumed I would have got one on before now. Doesn't look to be turned on at all. I'm fully charged. This is doing squat. There's not even a wee light or anything to tell you if it's coming on or anything. So that's what sometimes the LED lights are good for. Not that they give you much light, but let you know what the battery's at least making contact. This is totally dead. It's not making any attempt to turn on or power up. Now, by the looks of it, it might have been used for the wrong stuff. Don't know if that's resin or plaster dust from plasterboard or something. We'll have to just see. That kind of dust there can be wild hard on cordless machines because the dust gets into the bearings and seizes them up. Especially one like this here, which is actually a DC motor inside. They'll have bronze bushings. It's even worse for that there. Once the dust gets onto the bronze, it wears out the bronze bushings and it starts flapping around. But this one's totally dead. Normally when the bronze bushings on the DC motors go, they start making a lot of noise before stopping. This one's not doing anything unless it's actually just ran it on until it eventually stopped. Got this wee base. Not even 100% sure if I have to take that off. I would say I do. There should be a wee boy in here too. We know the motor's not seized because that still turns. So they might work. Just something that stopped this from spinning. A little bit of burning going on there too. And there's a wee foam pad for rubbing on here, but the dust does get on the foam. Oh, it didn't really burn it, but it did basically polished it. So we get all this off first before we can get into it. As you can see, there's plenty of dust contamination anyway. There's the wee counterweight. And inside here will be the motor and the fan. So the motor's to this side. It's actually a wee pulley system, so it's not direct driven either. Actually quite good. Direct driven ones generally get put under more load and more likely to burn out. This one's actually not direct, so it's a wee bit of a gear reduction. So this will run fast on the motor, reduce the speed down here. It doesn't run as fast, but has more power. That more difficult to burn out basically. The question is it the motor at fault, the controller, or the switch? I would prefer it if it was the switch. Look at that. It's a nice wee unit. Tiny little DC motor. No wonder it has to have a wee gear reduction. But look at the spindle. That's well supported anyway. It's not just loaded on down here. It actually runs the whole length of the machine. So that's what's taking all the play, the actual running. So in case you're leaning on it, This will actually stop you from much tweaking it over, bending everything. Wouldn't be much use, so it was only down here. Sort of has to have that for it to be a good machine. Nothing looks to be burnt on the controller. And we'll just pull everything out and have to clean all this down now. Give us a wee blow of the compressor because it looks like there might be something going on in there. We'll stick it on the power supply and see if it runs. If it runs without the controller, we know it's something to do with the controller or the switch. Right. This might look like an odd angle. That's because it is. This is way up above the workbench. I'll flip my tippy toes to reach this thing. Yeah, found that right there. Runs way better when everything falls off. It's working, but not well. Actually, just try that again without the little belt, just in case that was the problem. Nah, something wrong with it. That'll run, but it doesn't have the power to get it initially running. But that it could also be my power supply, maybe. We'll whack the amps up here, maybe. That's better. Maybe not. Even 4 amps isn't always enough to start it. Right, there's something wrong with it. And I think the problem might be the motor. I think this thing's had a drop. The brushes inside just do not seem to be sitting exactly right. You know straight away if it runs. It runs. And the same thing as on the power supply. Difficult to start. You can hear it's laboured, but it is working. So we know this bunch of stuff is okay. It's just the motor that's the problem. But I ain't got a new one. They're not expensive to buy, you can buy them for about €20. But I haven't got another one. But if you look on here, you can just see that little brush here and one on this side. But they're not just sitting exactly right. They've got 2 little jaws on them. They come around like a crescent moon, so there's only 2 tops, top and bottom. It's actually making contact because this is still fairly fresh. You can see the middle of the comb bar. There's 2 black lines, top and bottom, and the middle It's nice fresh copper. See? But the brush is sitting down further, look. And it's not exactly sitting flush. It's kind of sitting like this. So I think it's just been dropped. You can actually get to the brush levers up here. So if I push that down, bend it straight, like so. Do the same on this one. Which way would I have to bend that on the way? Yeah. Bend it in and force it down a little bit so it's actually sitting square again. I think that will run better. Or at least run for a while, because I'll not have this armature for a little while, so I can at least stick it back together again and leave it working for him, and then stick in the new motor whenever it comes on. That's if it works. Look at that. That's all it is. He's dropped it and he's bent them brushes. Bend them down to make proper contact again, and it runs a lot better. Actually see they're sitting in the right location there now. So we're making more contact and likely wear in better too. Your rough sound and startup is probably just that with your gear rattling around a little bit. But I think we'll get away with that. Stick it back together again, I guess, and that'll leave it running for him. And I might just order on one or two of these little motors as well. Now, I don't know what this man was sanding with this thing, but it wasn't plasterboard and it sure as hell wasn't timber. I don't know if it's a resin or a lacquer, like a clear car lacquer or something, but it seems to be very sticky. It doesn't want to come off with a compressor, normal an airline, and just remove plasterboard dust. This doesn't seem to want to come out. I think it's like a paint lacquer or something, maybe like that there. Wee bit of it off anyway. Just mainly wanted to get it out down on here and off this here wee foam sleeve, or as much as possible anyway. But the sander itself, cracking wee machine. Nice solid base on it. Nice made in China NSK bearings. Can't really complain about that. But the body on it, look at this. As solid, hey. For just a little sander, that thing there is as hard and as solid as you're going to get for just a wee cheap machine, especially with DC motor. Nothing wrong with that wee machine. We'll get her back together again now, and we'll start on this side. So that's sitting on this way. And that would be sitting on there. I wonder if I could just slide these on first. Hopefully this one goes in. Oh, I suppose it can only go in one way. Don't know which way that was now. Can't remember. Maybe the motorway would be better down on there, and then this on top. Now that way. Put on a little mini belt first. So this shouldn't be too tight a fit. Yeah, slack fit. Very slack fit. I suppose if you have it much tighter on a wee cordless machine, it's not going to do very much. Now this may need to be opened again if this motor doesn't last. Well, at least then we'll have a new motor in stock. Yeah, motor leads better on first. That's why this one's covered. This has the sheath, this one doesn't. So these little fine controller wires for the switch aren't touching the contact on the actual spade connector itself. Just a little rubber boot. So that should be it, we hope. At least the motor is cheap. It's only €20 or so, and easy to change. Double check now. It's a wee bit noisy because that's moving. Should be quieter once we get the rest of it together. Just go on that way. So that'll be sitting in the bearing, won't it? Yeah. So this is the bigger side. It's going to the square lock down in here. That's why there's no clip on this here wee pulley, because the actual screw and the counterweight and everything is holding this down. So that's going on there. There's the little leg supports. These are just sitting these big rubber O-rings. That's giving the support for the base, so it's not just relying on the bearing. This supports it, but it also allows it to move. So they're not actually fixed, they're just sitting flexing on this here rubber. There and there. DOS port goes next. Then your base. Just make sure the actual spindle goes onto the bearing. This width goes on, and one countersunk screw for that. Your rubber boot to keep the dust out. There's a part you don't see in many sanders, and very essential. That bearing in there is the first one to go whenever dust starts to, whenever the bearings start to fail. And dust is the main thing that causes them to fail, so it's nice to see a little rubber boot on it. Keeps it better for longer. Thought I was wrong there. Countersunk screws for the base. Thought they were doing pan head, but they are actually countersunk. Strange, normally just see standard pan head screws. Don't know why they went for the countersunk ones there. They don't need to be. Could have just had a flat edge because there's plenty of space to the foam. As they're just thinking on people leaning on it, just in case the pan head would eventually wear through, or the base would wear out, and the pan head could scrape the timber. That's it. One Makita sander. It's actually not a bad wee machine, plenty of power out of it, even whenever you lean on it. On top of lino, not even timber. Doesn't really struggle at all. Decent enough. Anyway folks, that's it. That's how you fix up your wee Makita sander, the DBO480. If you ever drop it and it stops working, just bend them wee brush springs back a wee bit to make sure they're actually making contact, or just replace the whole motor. To change it, you'd be just taking off that little C-clip, removing the wee bevel pulley on the, or the wee pulley on the bottom of it, and there should be one screw holding on to that little metal plate. That brushless wee brushed motor will just pull away, put on the new one for 20 quid, and you're up and running again. Not a problem. But that's how you fix it if it ever goes wrong. Nice and easy machine to work on, and a nice wee sander too. Anyway folks, thanks for watching. As always, give us a wee like and a follow. Enjoying the videos. Next time folks, chat to you later.